Dr. Aquino, and I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor of Global Engagement. I'm so excited and happy to do these conversations across borders because we get to learn about so many different countries, but most importantly, learn from wonderful people who I've been so very proud of and so happy to have in my life. One of these very special ladies is one of my former international students who has taught me so much about the world, about being a strong woman, but most importantly, has given me such a deep friendship that she's like a sister to me. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker who will talk about Brazil.
Hi, Dr. Aquino. Hi, everyone. I'm Alessandra Lima, and I'm from Brazil.
So Alessandra, honey, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes. So I'm Alessandra Lima. I'm Brazilian, but I'm currently living in Paraguay. I'm 31 years old and I speak 3 languages: Portuguese, which is my native language, Spanish, and English. I lived 6 years in the United States, specifically in Pittsburgh, Kansas. I graduated with 2 majors in commercial graphics and international business, and I finished a master's in science technology in 2016. Today, I'm the Marketing International Business Director of our family business. I'm in charge of organizing all the events and creating all the marketing materials and overseeing the logistics and inventory department. As our company is a wholesaler and we have a B2B business in the technology and telecommunication sector, we have partnerships with international brands around the world, and we distribute some of their products like fiber optic, software, and copper cable, and much more.
That's a lot. I know that you've been doing a lot of international marketing and international business, so we'll have to interview again another time so we can learn more about that.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about why you decided to study in the United States and a little bit about your educational experience. You mentioned the degrees you got, but it's more than just degrees when you're studying abroad. So can you share that with us?
Yes. So Paraguay has a partnership with Kansas. All the Paraguayans, even though I'm from Brazil, I have a Paraguayan ID, and I just joined this program, and I went to Pittsburgh, Kansas, because we have in-state tuition and we have a lot of agreements with Paraguay which benefit us. So in the school, as I mentioned, I did 2 majors, but besides that, I was member of some associations. I was really into belonging and joining a lot of clubs and participating. So I was member of the Brazilian and the Paraguayan Association. I was an active member of the international community, and I was even chosen to be one of the homecoming queen candidates in my sophomore year, which was really a nice experience and different from Brazil because we don't have that. And since the beginning, I started school. I decided to work in a part-time job to help my father with all the expenses. And first, I was a Spanish conversation partner where I met a lot of American students and people that wanted to learn Spanish, which was really nice. And then I was the marketing coordinator at Sodexo. I think you have Zadock at your school.
Yes, we do.
I enjoy.
I
Yes.
eat it almost weekly.
And in my free time, I also did some community service. I was in the program Big Brothers, Big Sister, and I had a sister. She was in high school, so it was a really nice experience.
Can you share with us a bit about why you decided to be so involved and how that helped you along the way? You studied a lot, but you were also very active. So in balancing that, but why was that important to you to be able to do both?
I think as I was an international student and as we are away from and far from our family and our country, we have some process and stages to adapt to a new culture. And for me, it was important to just feeling the belonging to some association or to find my family, to find a group of people that I really enjoyed. So I really like to be with my friends, with the Brazilian and Paraguayans, because for us to be international is really sometimes it's complicated to be far from the family. So for me was the way I found to be I don't know, to just adapt to a new place.
And what I saw from when I was there with you too is that you really made some strong connections. And I think that's very special because I do know that a lot of the connections you made there, you still have those friendships now. Those deep friendships have gone to weddings, have traveled together, are still in touch. And so I think it was really wonderful to see you as you were growing through your educational journey, but also the relationships that were developed from that. One of the things some of the other international students have talked about when we've interviewed is that they've got to meet so many people from around the world that maybe they wouldn't have. So what would you like to say about just meeting people from around the world and how that's impacted you?
Yeah, I think travel international is the easiest way to find to meet new people. I still have two best friends in the United States, and I have one in Brazil and one in Paraguay. If I go to Europe, I have friends there. I can stay and visit their family. So it's a really intercultural connection that we can. It's the easiest way so we can do the intercultural connection, and it's not just meeting them, but it's really nice to know about their culture, their traditions, and their family and their language. So it's just an international experience, and I think it's really nice. And we have friends for life.
Yes. Well, that's a perfect segue into the next question that I want to ask you. A lot of people may not know a lot about Brazil, about the culture, about the way of life, etc. And so I was wondering if you could share with us what are some favorite pastimes or hobbies that you've noticed are in Brazil that weren't in the United States, or even some that are in Brazil that are in the United States?
Yes. So when I was living in the United States, I really missed some things that we don't have there, just like Carnival. We have Carnival in New Orleans, but it's not the same thing. Carnival in Brazil is a nationwide holiday. It's a week of holidays with no work, no school, and with extravagant parades, parties, dances, traditional music, all in the street.
Sounds so fun.
Yes, some people they don't like to be in the carnival. Some people prefer just to take this time to travel, to rest, and to be relaxing. But it is a really nice experience, and we just have this in Brazil. Then, of course, I really miss the food. Some of our ingredients we can't find in the US, or it's really hard to find. So I miss feijoada. Feijoada is a traditional food made of black beans and meat. It looks like the Texan style baked beans, but it's more salty. And beans you can find every time in a Brazilian home. We eat rice and beans and meat every day. So I really miss that. And then soccer. Soccer is our passion. We grew up playing soccer at school. Whenever our team Brazil is playing, we stop everything we are doing, even at work, just to watch the game. And I couldn't find soccer in specifically in Kansas because we have football. I went to some football games. I still don't know how to play it. Like I don't understand, but it was a really nice experience. Um, so yes, and it's funny because football for us in Portuguese is soccer. So at the beginning, I thought I was gonna watch a soccer game, and then I understood it was not a soccer game. But
Well, you talked about one of the traditional dishes, and I think that that's another thing that a lot of people are always really interested in. I know I am. I love eating and I love different types of food. So I was just curious if you could talk a little bit more about some other dishes, and if someone was coming to Brazil, what are, a few things that they must try when they go and visit?
okay, so Brazil is a vast country. The food varies from region to region. But if you come to Brazil, I think you should try one, pão de queijo, which is a cheese bread. It's crispy outside and soft inside. It's made of flour, tapioca flour, eggs, and cheese. And we like pão de queijo at breakfast and afternoon snacks, or at any time of the day. It's
I
really
want
good.
to add that it's super delicious. Like
So
I eat, like you could just like eat many of them because they're
yes,
small like this. And so the
yes,
next thing you know, you ate 12.
that's true. Yes, and then brigadeiro. which is it's a ball, sweet balls too. It's a chocolate truffle. It's made of condensed milk, butter, and cocoa powder. After mixing all the ingredients, you need to shape it like the mix into a ball, and then put in some chocolate sprinkles. And it's our favorite dessert. You can find Brigadeiro at birthday parties, at home, anywhere. We really it's easy really to make, and we really like to make it and just share with the family.
And that's another thing. They're so good and small and cute. And the next thing you know, you weigh 15.
Wait, 50, yes. And then I think the last thing I would like to share is the picanha. Picanha is a premium cut we have. I think in English it's rump cap.
Okay.
It's a premium cut. And we just season with salt and grill, and we have this meat in our famous barbecue, and we eat with rice and beans as well.
So can you talk a bit more about rice and beans being really a part of the culture and about the food? I've always found that that's something different, that Americans don't always have rice and beans per se, maybe more potatoes, sometimes bread. But talk a little bit about that, because I do find in Latin America that in a lot of the dishes, rice and beans are always embedded.
Yes, we have rice and beans every day. And I think the rice and beans we brought a little bit from the African culture. And the rice, it's always, we cook it the same way, but the beans, we have different ways to cook it. Like feijoada, we added meat, and then we have bean salad, and then we have just solid beans. So it gives us energy. Like people feel like it gives you, you can be strong by eating rice and beans. And it's just, you can be full with rice and beans, and it's not an expensive thing to buy. So it's not like a fancy food. It's just our everyday meal.
Yes.
So we just grew up eating rice, beans, and then with eggs, with farofa, which is a flour we add to our meal as well. And we make a lot of combinations basically with rice and beans.
That's awesome. You're making me hungry.
I'm already hungry.
So earlier you said that you spoke three languages. So I was wondering if you could choose a word or two and say them in the three languages, or I get one of them will be English, but and then the other two, just so people can hear a little bit of the difference between the Spanish and Portuguese.
Yes. So for example, let's pick a color. Red. Red in English, rojo in Spanish, and vermelho in Portuguese. It's really different.
And what about like good morning or how are you? Some sort of greeting.
Yeah, so like good morning, and then in Spanish will be buen día, ¿cómo estás? In Portuguese will be bom dia, ¿cómo você está? I think the greetings, they are similar Portuguese and Spanish.
In Spanish. Okay. Well, if anyone wants to learn more Portuguese or Spanish, please come to our office, because we'll be able to hook you up and at least show you where you can get some lessons. You can take classes here at the university as well, Spanish at least. So in learning more about Brazil, can you talk about any misconceptions that you think foreigners have about Brazil regarding maybe lifestyle, resources, laws, anything that you want to talk about, just so we can learn more?
Yes, so when I was in the US, I always received, like, people ask me the funny questions. For me, it was funny, was not in the bad way, but they asked me if I spoke Brazilian. And in Brazil, our official language is Portuguese. Portuguese because we are colonized by the Portugal. But even though we have all one official language, every state has its different slangs. And we have 26 states in one federal district, which is our capital. In every state you go, they have a different accent. They talk in a different way. For example, in the north, we think they sing when they talk with Portuguese, when they talk with us. And sometimes it's really hard for us to understand if they don't talk slow. So even though we live in the same country, we have differences in the languages. And then I think some people asked me if we lived in the rainforest. I think because we have one of the most famous rainforests in the world, the Amazon, and we find the Amazon in some movies, the American movies. But no, we don't live in the rainforest. Amazon, it takes 60% of our territory, but just 12% of the population lives close to the Amazon. So we live really far away. We'll be like 4 days driving to the Amazon.
And what are some different, maybe landscape in addition to the Amazon, or other things that you know that are in Brazil that you didn't notice or see in the United States, or vice versa, things that you saw in the United States that you don't have back home in Brazil?
Oh, I don't know, because in Brazil we have, as it's a big country, we have mountains, we have beaches, we have plain, like Kansas is just like a plain
Oh, yes, yes.
field. We have national parks, we have big cosmopolitan cities like Seattle, like New York. We have a mix. I think that's similar to the US. If you go to the US or even to Brazil, if you go to the south, you can see the snow, and if you go to the north, you can be hot the whole summer. And I think we have that in the United States too.
Mhm. And in regards to laws, is there anything that you noticed that was different that you could do in Brazil that maybe you couldn't do in the United States, or that was okay in the United States and not in Brazil?
Yes, here in the Brazil, we can drink when we are 16. I'm sorry, when you're 18. And then we are in the United States, we can start drinking and going out of 21 years old. That's one difference. And then I think the driving laws, they are different too. Like in the US, you need to stop at every stop sign. And in Brazil, you don't need to stop at every stop sign.
Duration.
Yes. One thing I noticed, and it was hard for me to adapt at the beginning, but now I'm totally adapted that to my life, is the punctuality.
Oh, okay.
Brazil, if you go to every meeting or if you go to a restaurant, if you do the reservation at 8, you can arrive at 8:30 with no problem. Like we don't follow the punctuality like strictly, and it's not a bad thing.
Yes, right. I remember with a lot of different students who are coming from Brazil, Paraguay, Chile, all the different countries, is that when classes start at 8:30, they think, oh, well, it's okay. I don't have to be there at 8:30. I'll come at, 8:59. And a lot of the American professors would be like, hey, class started at 8:30. But they're like, oh, but back at home, that doesn't really mean we started at 8:30. So that's always a cultural adjustment on both ends too.
Yeah, we are always late.
So when you came back to home and then now you're conducting your meetings, do you do a combination of being punctual or not, or because everybody else is used to a different kind of time, international time? How do you do that?
Actually, it's something that I'm trying to apply and to bring to my company. Every time when I schedule a meeting, I'm punctual. I'm punctual and being there at 7 a.m. waiting for everyone. And if people are late, I just mention, "Oh, meeting was supposed to be 50 minutes ago, but that's okay." So I'm trying to bring some of the things I learned in the US here.
Mhm.
For example, the greetings. I really liked in the US when you just say, "Hi, how are you?" And here we usually hug, we kiss each other. And for me now, like if I go to a meeting and I don't know everyone, it's kind of I just prefer to say hi.
That was another thing too, when students were coming to the States and people are only saying hi and not hugging and doing kisses. It's like, why are they being rude? They're not so welcoming. Yeah, so it's different culturally. Well, in learning more about your country, lots of times, people might just know things from TV. And so this is a really nice opportunity to hear more from you. But can you talk a bit more about, gender roles, religion, leadership in your country, and how do you think, or what things do you think have influenced leadership there? But also, what are some of those differences and similarities when you think about international ties and international connections?
Yeah. Brazil, we have a mix of cultures, as I mentioned, and they were influenced by the Portuguese, the indigenous Indians, and the Africans. Since we were colonized by the Portuguese in the 1500s, a long time ago, we acquired the language, their traditions, their main religion, which is the Catholic, and some of their customs. And in Brazil, 65% of our population, they are Catholic. And some of our holidays, they are related to the Catholicism, like St. Peter Day or something like that. We adapted like a holiday. And we also had some influenced by the Africans in our way of life, in our food, in our culture, in our dance, specifically samba. Samba is originally from African, and it's our traditional dance here. Everyone knows how to samba, even the carnival. So I think we were influenced by a little bit about those countries, and we still we adopted in it's our way of life every day.
And what is it like in Brazil in regards to gender roles? Can you tell us a bit more about that? Being male or female, how does that impact someone in the workplace, at school, or just in life in general, outside? And also, what did you have to adapt or change in that when you came to the States, or did you have to adapt or change anything in regards to what you were used to growing up and then when you were studying?
Yeah, we don't have a gender role equality in Brazil. Woman is still, I think, not just in Brazil, in South America, 100%. We are still trying to find our place, to fight for our space in the workplace, because we are a machista country. Men, they still receiving they still have the best salary, they still have the best positions at work. And we are still we don't have equality, and we're still fighting for our place in the business. And for me, I think in the US, I had so much some inspirational woman in my life. I had a lot of, I don't know, the university already teach you to find your space. You can talk, you can say anything you want. You don't need to be scared. So I brought that from the US. Just like, if I want something, I will get it, and I will achieve it. And I think people from Brazil, they are a little bit of scared of that. Like women, they are scared of trying to be better than men.
And do you think that that's something that could change over time, or do you think because you were educated abroad and came back, you see that? I was curious in regards to how do you think that change could possibly happen, or if you notice that other females now are having their space and feeling, that they can be stronger and not afraid to be better than a man.
I think just like me, I can be the change. Me, my friends, all my friends that went abroad to have an international study, we can be the change. We can show the woman here how they can be successful, independent. How can they always try to find a better life for themselves, to find a better position, to reach for a better salary, to be independent in their family. So I think we can be the change. We can help our friends that live here and our family.
And I know that you're the director of your company. What are some things that you have taken from your time abroad, in addition to what you're saying, that sort of helped you in a different way manage and lead your company?
Um, I think all the education I had in the US helped me, like all the tools, the leadership um, tools we learned in school, and we had some leadership programs I participated as well. So it really helped me, and it just first I started working in Paraguay again back home. I I didn't want to be like my dad's daughter. I want to be Alessandra because I was educated to be Alessandra Lima. Everyone knows me in university as for my name. So I really want to be this like the same way here. So when I started, I started organizing all my life in the workplace. I started waking. I opened the company every day at 7. I was there until late. I was showing myself that I really could do what I was hired for.
Mhm.
So I was just trying to not convince everyone, but just showing them all my skills, my everything that I learned. I was just kind of proving myself at the beginning to show them what I'm capable of.
Mhm. Well, I want to say that I am so proud of you. I have seen you do such amazing things. You're extremely talented, and I think that you're a great role model for other people. But
Thank
most importantly, it warms my heart and makes me so proud just to see how successful you have been when you return back and all the things that you're doing. And it's inspirational to hear that you're talking about how you can be the change, your friends can be the change. And I know that you're making change and making a difference. And it just makes me so proud to know you and just I am so looking forward to continue to hear what else you're going to do and what other great things you're going to accomplish. So
thank
keep
you.
being
Thank
awesome.
thank you.
And so, do you have any advice that maybe people that are older than you, elders, have shared that have helped you along the way and that you think maybe help others or be inspirational that's common in your country?
Yes. Just answering this question more personally, my dad is a really a big influence in my life, and he always encouraged me to pursue my goals and my dreams, to be independent, and he also encouraged me to study. When I was 17, he gave me the opportunity to go to South Africa to learn English, to have an intercultural experience, to learn new culture. So he always influenced me to learn more, to be successful. So he always told, like, I think it's a famous phrase, but he always used that as an example that education is the only thing that no one can take from you. And I encourage everyone to pursue their career, to finish their career, because education can open many doors in the world, not just in the US or in Brazil. If you have knowledge, if you have experience, if you have attitude, you can find great jobs anywhere in the world. And I think everything I said, the attitude, the experience, they are related to education, are related to experience, to culture, to learn a little bit more about other countries, other cultures. So I think it's really important.
And just piggybacking off of that, you had mentioned that you had studied a lot, but then also were very active in different groups. We talked about that earlier. So, can you talk about maybe some of the things that you learned in working in groups or just being in the school setting or abroad, how that has impacted you now in your career and what skills that you've gained, or also just knowledge you have from different things you did that maybe someone might think, oh, that's not going to help me later, but now you see, oh, that really helped me now.
I remember when I was at school, we organized an event. It was called Dress for Success, and we collected some clothes when we prepared some resumes, and we went to talk with some unemployed people that wanted to find some work, and we gave them the opportunity to learn how to build a resume, to learn how to dress, to learn how to have an interview. And I think that made a lot of difference for me, because one, I helped someone to find a job, and two, it was experience for me. uh, it was at the beginning was like, oh, that's okay, it's just like a conversation with someone, but it was really meaningful and helped me in my career, like helped me how to have a good interview, to dress well, to communicate with future employers. So it really helped me. That I think one activity I remember we did that, a program.
And then also we had talked about Sodexo, and I know that you spent many years working for Sodexo. And so sometimes, working at the bookstore, working at Sodexo, working at a front desk somewhere, students be, oh, this is just a student job. This isn't going to help me later. But can you share about how your experience even working at Sodexo, how that has impacted you and helped you along your career?
Yeah, in Sodexo, I worked there for 4 years, and I worked at 5 different dining locations on campus with many international brands like Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Pizza Hut. And when I came back home, I mentioned, "Oh, I worked with Pizza Hut. I work with Coca-Cola." And we're, "Oh, really? Yes." So people were amazed how I had this opportunity to work with international brands, because here in my country it's not so easy to find a job related to international brands. So that was a nice experience. And then at Sodexo, I participated in many events, catering events. I created many programs to sell more, to reach more students, to tell them what we offer, the different dining locations on campus, because some of them, they didn't know we organized events, for example. So I needed to publish on the website, on the dining, the social media pages. So for me, all like these communication tools I learned was really important. And working in a really nice environment with a manager, all like the hierarchical structure of a company, for me was a really, really important for my career today.
Well, is there anything else that you would like everybody to know about Brazil that we haven't talked about today?
Yes, Brazil is a really special country. I invite everyone to come and visit us. Um, but Brasilia specifically is our federal district, is where our president works and lives, all our presidents. So it was strategically built to be our capital a long time ago. And it has the shape of an airplane, which for me is a really nice thing to learn and to know. Whenever you fly to Brasilia during the day, you can see the airplane, but at night, for the lights, you can see the shape of the airplane. And in the cabin is where our president works now, the president's office. So I think it's a really interesting thing. It was a planned thing in Brazil.
Well, is there anything else that you would like us to know just about you, or any tips you want to give to anybody before we close?
Oh, I think I just would like to re-invite everyone to come and visit Brazil. Brazil is a really nice country. We have a lot of share, a lot of culture, a lot of flavors, a lot of color, a lot of traditions. And I think if you are planning your trip, your vacations for next summer or next winter, just come to Brazil and visit us.
Well, Alessandra, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for everything you shared. This was very informational and educational. And I hope that some of you watching will one day go to Brazil. At least try Brazilian food. If you can't go to Brazil here in the States, learn more about Brazil. If you're doing a project for class and they're asking for somewhere, country to do it about Brazil. But thank you so much for your time. I always enjoy talking to you, and I look forward to when we can chat again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.